Hi students, this is P. Venkateswarlu, lecturer in physics, APR Junior College, Tatipalli. In this class, I would like to teach the refraction through lenses and also refraction through spherical refracting surfaces. And we derive the lens maker's formula, which is very important for IP examinations as well as competitive examinations, and also derive finally what is the equivalent focal length of combination of lenses. So these are the topics to be discussed in this class. What is a lens? It is a transparent material made with two refracting surfaces. At least one is curved surface. That is called a lens. We know the types of lenses in lower classes. There are two types of lenses. What are the two types of lenses? The first one is convex lens, and the second one is concave lens. So this is the representation of convex lens. So these two sides are called as refracting surfaces. So when the refracting surfaces are facing towards the rarer medium or the medium in which the lens is kept, such a lens is called convex lens. So the representation of convex lens is like this. So this is one refracting surface and this is the another refracting surface. So this is convex lens and this is called concave lens. So these are the representation of two types of lens. Here we are observing what is optical center of the convex lens and center of curvature of the convex lens and radius of curvature, principal axis and first focal point, second focal point. So by observing the diagram of the two types of lenses, we can observe what are the important terms that are explained in the two types of lenses. Suppose if you are observing the convex lens, which is like this. So we can take the first curved surface, that means towards the left. Then we can form a sphere. So this is the sphere and the center of the sphere is represented C1. And the other side, the other refracting side is also forms another sphere whose center is represented C2. So C1, C2 are the center of curvature of the first refracting surface and the second refracting surface. And we can define some important terms. First one is pole, second one is center of curvature, third one is radius of curvature. This is represented R, this is C, and fourth one is principal axis and principal focus. So in this we can write first focal point and second focal point. So these are the terms which was already learned in mirrors. Similarly, in the lens also we can observe what is pole, or otherwise this can be taken as optical center. Optical center. Suppose if you take the first curved surface or refracting surface, we observe in the center of the sphere formed by this refracting surface. So what is optical center or pole? Pole means already we learned in mirror. The center of the refracting surface of the first one is called pole. So this is represented as a pole. So this is pole. Okay. So P is the pole of the first refracting surface of the convex lens. Similarly, the second pole or pole of the second refracting surface. That means the center point of the second refracting surface is also called pole. So what is center of curvature of the two refracting surfaces? The center of curvature is nothing but the center of the sphere of which the refracting surface forms a part is called center of curvature. Here we are observing C1 is the center of curvature of the first refracting surface. Similarly, C2 is the center of curvature of the second refracting surface. What is center of curvature? The center of the sphere of which the refracting surface forms a part is called center of curvature. Generally, it has two refracting surfaces. We can represent it as C1 and C2. Coming to what is radius of curvature. Radius of curvature means the radius of the sphere. So the radius of the sphere of which the refracting surface forms a part of it is called as radius of the curvature. Here radius of curvature of the first sphere can be represented as PC1. So while we considering the first refracting surface, then we can write PC1 is equal to R1. So this is the radius of curvature of this first refracting surface. Similarly, what is the radius of curvature of the second refracting surface? That can be written as P2C2. This is R2. Let us say this is P1, this is P2. Okay. So the center of the radius of the sphere of which the second refracting surface forms a part is called the radius of curvature. Okay. So radius of curvature PC1 or we can write P1C1 is equal to R1, P2C2 is equal to R2. The radius of curvature of the sphere of which the two refracting surfaces forms a part is called radius of curvature. So R is equal to like this. Principal axis. So what is principal axis? The straight line or the line which connect the center of the center of curvature of the two refracting surface and optical center. So this can be taken as the optical center. So the center point of the two centers or the convex lens is called optical center. So this is called optical axis. So the vertical line which divide the two refracting surface equally is called optical axis. So the center point of the optical axis is called optic center. So this is called optics. So O can be called as optic or optical center. So O is called optical center. So the center point of convex lens or concave lens is called optical center. So what is principal axis? Principal axis means the line joining the center of curvatures of the two refracting surface and optical center is called principal axis. It is a straight line that connects center of curvatures of the two refracting surface along with the optical center is called principal axis. So that is principal axis. And coming to the what is principal focus? Principal focus means, suppose if you are observing that, so this is the convex lens, this is principal axis, this is the center of curvature of the first one, center of curvature of the second one. Suppose when a parallel beam of light is incident on the refracting surface of the convex lens, and after refraction takes place, the two light rays are converge at one point on the principal axis. So the point on the principal axis at which the refracted rays meet or appears to be meet when the parallel beam of light strikes on the refracting surface is called the second focal point. So this is called as second focal point FT. So this point is called image point. So this is the image point. How we can define with respect to image? The image point formed on the principal axis when the parallel beam of light rays incident on the convex lens is called second focal point. So this is the second focal point. So the distance between the optical center and the focal point is called F, which is focal length. So focal length F is equal to OF2. The distance between the optical center and focal point is called focal length. Focal length is equal to OF2. So what is the first focal point? So that can be explained like this. Again we consider, so this is principal axis. So this is called first focal point or first principal focus. How we can define? It is the position of object. This is the position of image. So the object point on the principal axis, after which refraction takes place, produces a parallel beam of light is called the first focal point or first principal focus, which is represented by letter F1. How we can define? It is the object point on the principal focus. After refraction takes place, it produces a parallel beam of light. That object point on the principal focus, which produces a parallel beam of light, is called first principal focus point or first principal focus. So F1 is the first principal focus. This is optical center, let us say C, and again it is equal to focal length. So these are the important terms in the case of convex lens. Pole or optical center, center of curvature, radius of curvature, principal axis, principal focus, that is first focal point, second focal point, and focal length. If you understand the definition of all the important terms, we can easily understand the remaining concept. How the refraction takes place in case of convex lens and concave lens. Clear? So what are the important rules in the image formation in case of convex lens and concave lens? Let's observe what is the rules to follow to identify the location and the size of the image in case of convex lens and as well as concave lens. For the formation of image in the case of convex lens. If you observe the formation of image in the case of convex lens, we can easily observe the formation of or nature of image in the case of concave mirror. So the first rule we can consider a convex lens. This is the principal axis and OC is the optic center. It has two refracting surfaces whose radius of curvatures are respectively R1 and R2. Later we explain the sign convention in the case of lenses, which is similar to the sign convention in the case of mirrors. Here we are observing that if you take the parallel beam of light rays which strikes on the convex lens, after refraction the two rays are converging at one point. That point is called focus. So the first rule is when a parallel light rays or when the light rays which are parallel to the principal axis incident on the convex lens, after refraction they converge or meet at the principal focus of the convex lens. So this is the first rule of convex lens. Okay. So a ray which is parallel to the principal axis passing through convex lens, after refraction it forms the image or converts the refracted rays at the principal focus. So this is the first case. So this can be observed in the case of concave. So this is the principal focus. This is the optic center. There we can observe. This is the parallel ray and this is also another parallel. So we can observe in that. So this is the focus. So in the case of the concave mirror, so this is concave lens. So here we are observing that, so when the rays which are parallel to the principal axis strikes on the surface of concave lens, here the rays are divergent after refraction takes place. But we can extend the refracted rays in the backward direction. So these two rays appears to be coming from this point. So these two refracted rays are divergent from this point. So this point is also called as focus. So this is the formation of image at the principal focus in case of concave lens. Coming to the rule 2. Second one. So this is principal focus. So the ray which is passing through the optic center is undeviated and gets refracted in the straight path. Here we are observing that this is the light ray which is passing through the optic center undeviated and moves in the straight path. So without any refraction or deviation, that cannot be observed in the case of the light ray which is passing to the optic center of convex lens. Here also we are observing the same phenomena. That means when a light ray passes through the center of the concave lens without any deviation like this. So this is optic center. Right? So this is the second rule. And the third rule is this is the principal axis optic center. Suppose if the object is passing through the principal focus, then what happens? After refraction takes place, it produces a parallel beam of light. Already we explained what is the definition of first principal focus. second principal focus. Depending upon the two, we can explain the third important rule. Suppose, so these are the light rays which are coming from the object O. After refraction takes place, the two light rays becomes parallel. So this produces a parallel. So this is called focus. So the rays coming from the focus of a convex lens, after refraction takes place, it produces a parallel beam of light. Okay? So these are the light rays which are passing through the focus of the convex lens. After refraction takes place, it produces a parallel beam of light, or the light rays which are parallel to the principal axis. Similarly, here also we are observing the same pattern. So this is the principal axis. Then we are observing the rays coming from the focus. So we can write here. This is the incident light. So this is the incident light. So we can write like this. So what happens after refraction takes place? It produces a parallel beam of light. That means here we observe it. This is a parallel beam of light, and this is also producing a parallel beam of light. Okay. So when the light rays passing through the focus of the concave lens, after refraction, it produces the parallel beam of light rays, or the rays which are parallel to the principal axis. So these are the three rules used to identify the position and nature of the image. Clear? So in order to take the two rays among the three to form image and also observe the nature of the image. Let's observe what is the position and nature of the images formed by the convex lens and also concave lens. First observe the nature of the images and their positions in the case of convex lens. So position and nature of images formed by convex lens. So if you know the rules for ray diagram to identify the formation of image, you can easily explain what is the position and nature of the images formed by the convex lens. The first one is, here we can consider convex lens, and this is optic center, let us say O. Now we have to observe what is the position and nature of the image formed by the convex lens and concave lens, depending upon the different position of the object kept on the principal axis. Let's observe the nature and position of the image formed by the convex lens. First we observe that when the object is kept at infinite distance, infinity means the light rays are coming parallel to the principal axis. That means when the object is at infinity, means u is equal to infinity. After refraction takes place, all the refracted rays are converging at one point. That point is called focus. So the image in the first case is nothing but a point size image which is formed at focus. So the nature and position of the image is nothing but it is point size image So where it is observing, it is formed at focus. And what is the nature? Whether it is real, inverted or virtual upright. So this is real inverted image. Real inverted image. So when the object is at infinity distance, the image formed by the convex lens is real inverted and point size image which is formed at its focus. So this is the first condition of formation of image by convex lens. Coming to the second case, when the object is lies beyond the 2f value. Already we explained that in order to locate the position of image, we consider only two rays. One is the ray which is parallel to the principal axis, and another one is the ray which is passing through the optic center, that is passing undeviated. So by the consideration of the two rays, we can easily identify what is the location of the image. Here we are observing that AB is called an extended object which is kept beyond 2f value. Then we take the ray which is parallel to the principal axis. After refraction, it is always passing through focus according to rule of ray diagram. So the another ray is passing through the optical center undeviated. These two are intersecting at this point and form image A dash B dash. Here the image is lies between F and 2F. So image lies between F and 2F. So this is the position of image. What is the nature of image? So here also we are observing real inverted image. But what is the size of the image when compared to object? The size of the image is very small when compared to the object. Means it is form a diminished image. Diminished means small size image when compared to the object. So here we can also write it forms real inverted and diminished image. Means size of image is less than size of object. Coming to the third one. When the object is kept at 2f value, then we consider the two rays. One is parallel to principal axis, another one passing through optic center. The two rays after refraction forms image A dash B dash F at 2f value. That means when the object is kept at 2f value, the image is also formed at 2f value. So what is the nature of the image? It is again real inverted image. But the size of the image is exactly the same size of object. So in the third case, the image is again real inverted and it is formed at 2f value. And nature means whether it is same size or magnified or diminished. So it is same size of object. That means A dash B dash is equal to AB. So this is the third case. Coming to the fourth case. When the object is lies between 2f and f, then the image formed by the convex lens after refraction is A dash B dash, which lies beyond the 2f value. So this is 2f and this is f. Why? Because the parallel line is always passing through the focus. So this is the converse of third one. Here we are observing that the object lies beyond 2f. Its image is always lies between f and 2f. If the object lies between 2f and f, its image is always lies beyond 2f. It is also again real and inverted. But the size of the image is bigger than the size of the object. is called magnified image. Magnified means bigger size when compared to object size. So again we observe it forms real, inverted and magnified image which lies beyond the 2f value. So these are the four conditions depending upon the position of the object. Coming to the fifth one. So when the object is kept its principal focus, so when it is kept at focus, after refraction takes place, according to rule of ray diagram, the refracted ray should be parallel. Then we can observe that the image is formed at infinity. So image is formed at infinity. What is the size of the image? It is produces a magnified image. That means the size of the image is bigger than the size of the object. That is the fifth case. Means when the object is kept its focus, it is forms a magnified image at infinite distance. And the last one, which is the special case of convex lens. Here, if the object is kept between focus and optical center, that means AB is the object. Again we consider two rays. One is parallel to the principal axis, another one is passing through the optical center. After refraction takes place, there is no possibility of the two refracted rays to meet at one point. Due to that reason, we extended the refracted rays in the backward direction. These two rays are intersecting at this point and form the image A dash, B dash on the same side of the convex lens. So this image is called virtual, erect or upright. So in the case of last one, the nature of image is always here virtual, erect image which is formed in front of the convex lens. So this is the special case of convex lens. When the object is lies between focus and optical center, its image is always formed in front of the convex lens, which is called virtual, erect and magnified image. Here we are observing that the size of the image is bigger than the size of the object. So this is the condition we used in the simple microscope. So in this situation, the convex lens acts as a magnifying glass, means a simple microscope, which is used in the watch mechanics and jewelry shops. So when the object is kept between focus and optical center, it forms a magnified virtual erect image, which acts as a magnifying glass. So these are the position and nature of the images in the case of convex lens. What about the nature and position of the image formed by the concave lens? So in the case of concave lens, whatever the position of the object that is kept on the principal axis, the concave lens always forms a virtual erect image. Whether the object is kept any position, that means beyond 2f or beyond f or at f or between f and 2f. So that is the only case here we observe. Here we are observing that AB is an object which is kept beyond the principal focus. Again, ray parallel to principal axis, which is passing through the principal focus after refraction. The concave lens is called diverging lens. The convex lens is called converging lens. So after refraction, in all the cases, the refracted rays are converging to one point on the principal axis. Okay. But in the case of concave lens, it is called diverging lens. Hence we can extend the refracted ray in the backward direction, and the two rays are intersecting at one point, which is formed image A dash B dash. So the size of the image is small one compared to the size of the object. So it is called diminished image, and it is also formed in the same side of the concave lens. Hence it is also called virtual erect. So concave lens always form a virtual erect diminished image. So it forms virtual erect and diminished image. So this is the nature and the position of the image formed by the concave lens. So the focal length of the convex lens is positive, that is converging lens. The focal length of the concave lens is always negative. For a convex lens, the focal length is positive. For a concave lens, the focal length is negative. So depending upon the focal length, we define what is power of convex lens or concave lens. Now define what is power of a lens, what is its SI unit, and later we derive the lens maker's formula based on refraction of light on refracting curved surfaces. Basing on that, we can also find the mathematical expression for the combination of lenses. What is the equivalent focal length of the combination of lenses? And finally, we solve some problems based on lens maker's formula and combination of lenses and power of lens. Coming to what is power of lens? Power of lens means the reciprocal of its focal length is called power of lens. Suppose if we observe that, so this is the convex lens. When two rays which are parallel to convex lens are strikes on the refracting surface. After refraction takes place, the two rays are, after refraction takes place, the two rays are refracted and they are converging at one point. That point is called focus. So what is the ability of the lens to converge or diverge? The rays which are incident on the convex lens or concave lens is called the power of lens. Suppose if you consider the another size of convex lens. So this is another size of convex lens. While we are incident the parallel rays, but this lens is converging the incident rays at some other point. Let us say this is F1. But the distance between the optical center and the focus is called focal length. This is also called as focal length. But this focal length is different from this focal length. That means the ability of bending of the incident rays which are falls on the lens is changes. So the ability of the lens to converge or diverge the incident rays is called power of lens. So how we can define the power of lens means the ability of lens to converge or diverge the incident light rays falls on the lens is called power of lens. So the ability of lens to converge or diverge the incident beam of light or light rays falls on the lens is called power of lens. How so far the lens is converging the parallel beam of light rays at one point on the principal axis, that representing the power of the given lens. So we can observe in that the converging or diverging beam of light rays incident on the lens is changes, then its focal length is also changes. So basing on that, we can also write power P is equal to 1 by F. So the reciprocal of its focal length, the reciprocal of its focal length is called the power of the lens. So power is equal to 1 by F. If the focal length is measured in meter, if the focal length is measured in meter, then power is equal to 1 by F. If the focal length is given in centimeters, then meter is converted into centimeters. So 100 by F in centimeters. To solve the simple problems based on power, we can use the formula. Power is equal to 1 by focal length in meters. If the focal length is given in centimeters, this is 100 by F in centimeters. How we can define the power of a lens? The reciprocal of its focal length is called power. So power is equal to 1 by F or 100 by F in centimeters. Basing on this, we can also write its SI unit. So what is the SI unit of power? If you consider the first equation, the focal length is in meters, then 1 by F means unit is power is equal to meter inverse, or this can be represented as meter minus 1. But 1 by meter or meter inverse is called diopter. So this is called diopter. So the unit of power is diopter. If the power of lens P is equal to plus 2 diopter, means it is nothing but P is equal to 1 by F. So from this equation we can easily calculate the value of focal length of the given lens. So power of lens is equal to plus 2 diopter, minus 2 diopter, or plus 1.5 diopters, or minus 1.5 diopters. So here the power is positive for converging lens. Power is positive for converging lens. Converging lens means it is convex lens. If the power is represents plus diopters, then the usual lens is convex lens. The power is negative. Then that lens is called diverging lens. So diverging lens means we can write that is concave lens. So this is the simple definition of power of lens and its SI unit. If the power is positive, we use the convex lens. The power is negative, we use the diverging lens, that is concave lens. Let's observe the refraction of light on the spherical refracting surfaces. So generally refracting surfaces are two types. One is convex. So one is convex refracting surface. So this is called convex refracting surface. That means if the convex surface is facing towards the rarer medium, then that spherical refracting surface is called convex refracting surface. So this is the convex surface which is facing towards the rarer medium. Such a surface is called convex refracting surface. And coming to the second one. Second one is concave refracting surface. Means if the concave surface is facing towards the rarer medium, then it is called concave refracting surface. So this is convex refracting surface, this is concave refracting surface. Here, how the light refracted through concave spherical refracting surface. So that can be observed in two cases. When the object lies in rarer medium, image is formed in the denser medium, first case. And the second case, when object is present in denser medium and image is formed in rarer medium. So based on the two expressions, we derive the lens maker's formula. So first we can find the refraction at convex spherical surface. So this is the convex spherical surface. So how the refraction takes place in the convex spherical surface? So that can be observed by using this diagram. The first condition is when object lies in rarer medium, image is in denser medium. So this is the convex refracting surface. When a point object is kept in front of the lens or in rarer medium, it forms the real image. That means on the other side of the convex refracting surface. In that situation, what is the relation between object distance, image distance, refractive index of rarer medium, refractive index of denser medium, and radius of curvature of this convex refracting surface. So the first one is when the object lies in rarer medium and the image formed in the denser medium, which is real image. So what is the expression for this case? Observe the diagram. So this is the convex refracting surface, and P is the pole of the convex refracting surface, and C is the center of curvature of the convex surface, R is its radius of curvature. So this is the given convex surface, and the refractive index of the convex surface is N2. Okay, let's observe. So a point object O is kept in rarer medium of refractive index N1. So what is the position of the image formed by the convex refracting surface? Already we explained. To locate the image, we consider two rays. Here also we consider the two rays. One ray is coming from the point object, which is along the principal axis, that is called normal incidence. So the ray coming from the point O is passing along the principal axis through pole of the convex lens. And another ray is OA, which strikes at the point A on the convex refracting surface. So we know that for convex lens, if you consider any curved surface, the center of curvature is act as the normal to the both curved surfaces. So if you consider this curved surface, then the center of curvature is act as the normal for the incident ray and refracted ray. Okay, so OA is the incident ray that strikes at point A on the convex refracting surface. So when it is moving from rarer to denser, it is always bending towards the normal. So the refracted ray AI is always bending towards the normal and strike at point I. So this is the one refracted ray and this is the another refracted ray, and the two rays are meet at one point, form a real image I. Then observe the representation of object distance and image distance. So the object distance is nothing but from O to P, pole of the convex surface, that is U, and image distance, the point of image to the pole is called image distance V, and the radius of curvature is center of curvature to the pole is called radius of curvature. If you draw a normal from point A along the principal axis, so the point of intersection on this point on the principal axis is represented as M. So AM is the normal drawn along the principal axis. Already we said that in previous classes that we consider refraction through a thin lenses. So basing on that, the pole is exactly coincide the normal. That means instead of pole we consider the optical center. But here only we consider the one curved or convex refractive surface. Then what is the relation among all the values? Here we can assume that alpha is the angle between the incident ray and the principal axis. Similarly, beta is the angle made by the refracted ray of image with the principal axis. And gamma is the angle made by the principal axis with the center of curvature. Okay, alpha, beta, gamma are the angles made by the object or incident ray with the principal axis and refracted ray with the principal axis and center of curvature of convex surface with the principal axis. Let's observe. If you observe the angle of incidence, what is angle of incidence? The angle between the incident ray OA and the normal drawn at the point of incidence. Here normal is nothing but the center of curvature represented by dotted lines. So the angle between the incident ray and normal is taken as I. And what is angle of refraction? The angle between refracted ray, that means AI, and normal drawn at the point of incidence. So AC, that is R. Okay. Then we can observe from triangle we can take AOC. From triangle AOC we can find the opposite angles alpha, gamma, and here I is the exterior angle. Suppose if you consider, so this is angle of incidence. So this is the angle we consider. So this is the angle. So this is I, this is O, and this is point C. So this is gamma, this is alpha. So A, O, C. If you consider the triangle AOC, these two are opposite interior angles. So the sum of opposite interior angles is equal to the exterior angle. Then we can write I is equal to nothing but alpha plus gamma. Alpha plus gamma. Here we can write exterior angle is equal to sum of opposite interior angles. So we can write I is equal to alpha plus gamma. Okay. So from this we can calculate the value of alpha and gamma by using the triangles. So in order to find the value of alpha, which is very small, we can find the tan alpha, which is nearly equal to alpha. So the assumptions are like this. For thin lens, tan alpha is equal to alpha, tan beta is equal to beta, tan gamma is equal to gamma. So first we find the value of tan alpha. So we can consider the triangle OAM. So from triangle OAM, we can calculate tan alpha is equal to, so OAM, tan alpha is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. So opposite side means AM by adjacent side means OM. Okay? So tan alpha is equal to AM by OM. What about tan gamma? So we consider the another triangle to calculate the value of gamma. So we can take the triangle which is equal to triangle AMC. So we can take the triangle. So from triangle AMC, we can write tan beta, tan gamma is equal to. So AMC, tan gamma is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. Opposite side is AM by adjacent side is nothing but MC. So substituting these values, so substitute in, so this is called equation 1, in equation 1. Okay, then equation 1 becomes, therefore I is equal to, tan alpha is equal to, already said that alpha, tan gamma is equal to gamma. So we can write tan beta is equal to beta and tan gamma is equal to gamma for small thin lenses. If the angle of incidence is very, very small, then we can write I is equal to alpha plus gamma is equal, what is tan alpha? So AM by OM plus AM by MC. Take AM common. So this becomes 1 by OM plus 1 by MC. So this is called equation 2. So this is called equation 2. So we find the value of phi in terms of alpha, gamma. Similarly, find the value of angle of refraction, R. Then we can use the another triangle. So if you consider the triangle AIC, then we can write another triangle which is AIC. We can write the triangle. So this is the second triangle like this. So this is gamma and this is angle of refraction. This is equal to beta. So this is A and I, this point is C. Okay, so from the, you can write second one. From the triangle AIC, we can again observe these two are opposite interior angles. Gamma is the exterior angle. We can apply the same condition. Sum of opposite interior. So interior angles is equal to exterior angle. So what is the exterior angle? Gamma. So we can write exterior angle gamma is equal to opposite interior angles R plus beta. But we want to find the value of R. So implies R is equal to gamma minus beta. Okay. So R is equal to gamma minus beta. Again we can find the value of gamma by using tan gamma, beta by using tan beta from the triangles. So we can find the values of tan gamma and tan beta. So we can write tan gamma is equal to, already we find the value of gamma. Tan gamma is equal to AM by MC. What about tan alpha? Tan beta. So tan beta is measured from triangle AMI. So we can write from triangle AMI. Tan beta is equal to again opposite side by hypotenuse. So AM opposite side and hypotenuse is mi. So this is tan beta. Substitute the value in this equation. So R is equal to gamma means am. Take am common and 1 by mc and minus 1 by mi. Okay. So am take common and in place of gamma 1 by mc, in place of beta 1 by mi. So this is called equation 3. R is equal to am into 1 by mc minus 1 by mi. So here we are observing that we apply the Snell's law. What is Snell's law? N1 into sin I is equal to N2 into sin R. The angle of incidence in the rarer medium is equal to refractive index into the angle in the denser medium. Refractive index in the rarer medium is N1 and angle is I. For small angle of incidence or thin lenses, sin I is equal to I. So from Snell's law, we can write N1 sin I is equal to N2 sin R. So from this we can write N1 into I. Sin I is equal to I and N2 multiply R. Sin R is equal to R. Okay. Then we substitute the value of I R in this equation. So from the equation 2 and 3, so from equations 2 and 3, so this is called equation 4 and 4. Substitute the value of N1. So we can write here N1 multiply I. I means from the equation 2. That is, we can take the am common. Am into 1 by om plus 1 by mc is equal to N2 into R. So N2, again take am common. So what is value of R? R is equal to am into 1 by mc minus 1 by mi. So from Snell's law, N1I is equal to N2R for thin lenses or the angle of incidence is very small. Substitute the value of I and R in this equation. From 2 and 3 we can write here. So cancel am on both sides. And finally N1 by OM plus N1 by MC is equal to N2 by MC minus M2 by Mi. Clear? Then we can write N1 by OM. So this is N2. So this is positive. So bring N2 by Mi towards the left hand side. So N2 by Mi. Here MC is common. So bring the M1 by MC towards the right hand side. So we can write N1 by MC plus N2 by, so this is N2 by MC. So positive N1 by MC is moving towards the right side. So this becomes minus N1 by MC. Okay. So this becomes N1 by OM plus N2 by Mi. Take 1 by MC common, or this can be written as N2 minus N1 by R. Okay? And the final expression is N1 by OM plus N2 by Mi is equal to N2 minus N1 by R. We are clearly observing that what is OM? OM is the object distance. OM is the object distance and MI is the image distance. So N2 minus N1. So this is MC. So what is MC? MC is nothing but R. For thin lenses, the pole is nearly coincide the normal drawn on the principal axis. So PC is nearly equal to the assumptions made. That is PC is nearly equal to MC and PI is equal to MI. Similarly, OP or OM. So OM is equal to OP. Okay? These assumptions are made such that if the lens is very thin, then we can apply the sign convention. Or we can write this is N1. OM means object distance U plus N2. MI means image distance V is equal to N2 minus N1. MC means R. So this is the relation. So N1 by U plus N2 by V is equal to N2 minus N1 by R. So apply the sign convention. Apply sign convention. So what is the sign of object distance? So the distance are measured in the same direction of incident light taken as positive. But the object distance is measured from pole to the point object in the opposite direction of incident light. Hence we can take U or object distance is negative. The image is real, which is formed inside the denser medium. So it is measured in the direction of incident light from pole to image towards right side and radius of curvature. So the radius of curvature is also measured from pole to the center of curvature, which is in the direction of incident light. So R is also positive. After applying sign convention, the final equation is N1 by or minus N1 by U plus N2 by V, that is equal to N2 minus N1 by R. So this is the expression for the relation among refractive index of air, object distance, refractive index of denser medium and image distance, N2 minus N1 by radius of curvature of the given refractive surface. From this we can clearly observe that refractive index of radial medium in which the object is kept by applying sign convention plus refractive index of the medium in which the image is formed and the image distance is equal to N2 minus N1 by the radius of curvature of the given convex surface. So this is the formula when the object lies in radial medium, when the convex surface is facing towards the radial medium. Okay?